Good evening, my lovely students. We thank Almighty God for His mercies and allowing us to have our first or maiden lesson on economics. So, economics lesson 1. We couldn't finish the production when we were in school, so we continue with production. When we were in school, we did the overview of production, that's the definition of production, whereby we said production is the transformation of existing resources into new products or services. Then we talked about productivity as distinct from production. And we said it's the efficiency of resources in production. Then we also talked about time periods in production. We look at the short run, whereby we said the short run period is the period so short that at least one factor is fixed while others are variable. We looked at long run, whereby we said it is a period so long that all inputs are variable. There are no fixed inputs. Then we looked at very long run or secular period. Then we said this is a very long term when the firm hopes to achieve its set vision. Then we look at the classification of productive inputs, the fixed inputs, the variable inputs. Then we look at the law of diminishing marginal returns, whereby we say that the law says that given technology, as more and more units of a variable factor are employed on a fixed factor, marginal product increases, reaches a maximum, and thereafter diminishes, ceteris paribus. We use the short-run production schedule below to explain the law of diminishing marginal returns. Then I gave you a table. I said this table, we'll be using it. So when you look at the table I gave you, my interest is in the marginal product, whereby we have the increasing returns, the constant returns, the diminishing returns, and the negative returns. The increasing returns is represented on the table inc.ret, as you can see on the table. Then the constant returns const.ret. Then diminishing returns dimret. Then the negative return neg.ret. So we also talked about the relationship between TP, MP, and AP. Then I also gave you the formula for calculating TP, MP, and AP, whereby I said the TP, the total product, is the entire quantity obtained from combining a particular level of the variable input with the fixed inputs. Then I gave you a second formula. We can say, whereby I say TP at any level is corresponding to MP plus the previous TP. Then I gave you the marginal product. The formula, I said it is a change in total product or quantity per unit change in the variable input. Or we can say it is the addition to total product as the variable input increases by a unit, or the decreases in total product as the variable input decreases by a unit. Then I gave you the average product, whereby I say it is defined as the total product per the variable input at a particular level. Now today we are going to talk about the concept of marginal returns. The concept of marginal returns. It can be observed from the table that as more workers are employed over the same piece of land, marginal product value rises initially, attain a maximum, and later falls. This happens as a result of the law of diminishing marginal product. The product or returns are attributed to the increase in the amount of labor employed. Therefore, in the short run, we refer to marginal product as returns to an input or factor, which input is labor. There's also marginal product attributable to the fixed factor, land, but this is not shown on this table. What we have here is a marginal product attributable to labor, as you can see, MP of labor. Now let's analyze the four main returns of the marginal product as indicated in the table. 1. Increasing returns. The firm experiences increasing returns from the first unit of labor to the third unit. The corresponding marginal product values are 10, 12, and 14. There's increasing returns at this stage as the firm has just begun to employ workers. There is much utilization of the fixed input compared with the variable input. We say that at this stage, the fixed inputs and the variable inputs are employed in uneconomic or unbalanced proportions. The fixed input is now employed intensively as a few workers have been employed at this stage. The increase in output is basically due to the overexploitation of the fixed input land. The marginal product of the fixed input is negative since it is overutilized. The MP of labor is, however, positive as it is underutilized. Only a few workers are employed at this stage. Output just begins to increase and is not maximum yet. 2. Constant returns. The firm experiences constant returns from the 4th unit of labor to the 5th unit. The corresponding marginal product values are 16 and 16. There are efficient or economic combinations of workers with the fixed piece of land. Land and labor are employed in their right proportions. There is not much pressure on land and not much pressure on workers, as the number of workers employed matches the fixed input. The fixed factor is not overstretched. Therefore, marginal product of the fixed factor, land, now becomes positive. The MP of the fixed input becomes positive when the 5th worker is employed. Output is highest at this level, i.e. 16 bags, and AP is highest at 13.6 bags, as you can look on the table. In short, output is maximized when MP of both fixed and variable inputs are positive. 3. Diminishing or decreasing returns. Diminishing returns sets in when the 6th worker is employed. Take note. The marginal product of labor falls for the first time from 16 bags to 12 bags. The 6th to 10th workers all bring about decreasing returns. Note that diminishing or decreasing returns refer to all falling values of the MP of labor, negative values inclusive. The fixed input is combined uneconomically with the variable input. There is too much of labor employed on the same fixed piece of land. Labor is now overstretched. The MP of labor is now negative, and the MP of fixed inputs is positive. Output levels begin to fall at this stage. Negative returns. Negative returns sets in upon the employment of the 9th worker. The negative returns values being -5 and -10. Negative returns are actually part of diminishing returns. The numbers of workers employed are too many compared with the size of land available. The fixed factor contributes so little to production and it needs to be replaced or revamped. Total product falls for the first time, yet it is still positive. The MP of labor is negative. The MP of the fixed input is positive. In total, output levels fall greatly. Now let's look at economic implication of the law of diminishing returns, or economic and uneconomic stages of production. Now let's look at this graph very well. We have the quantity from 90 to -10. Then we have the labor from 1 to 10. The main stages of any short-run production venture are stages 1, 2, and 3. They are the main stages of any short-run production. These stages have various economic implications for the producer. Stage 2 is the economic stage of production. Note, stage 2 is the economic stage of production. The stage where the rational firm will produce, because output and profits are maximized. Stage 1 and 3 are uneconomic stages of production. The producer will not maximize output and profits in these stages of production. Let's discuss the 3 stages as follows. Stage 1. This stage starts from the initial point of AP and ends where the AP curve is maximum. Total product increases at an increasing rate and the firm experiences increasing returns. At the initial stages of production, there are inefficient combinations of workers with a fixed piece of land. Labor has space to work. Also, management is able to monitor them and there is effective communication, and therefore workers' output levels begin to increase. The marginal product of labor is positive. However, the marginal product of the fixed factor, land, is negative. It simply means much of land is used in the production process compared to workers who are just few for now. Since the MP of the variable input is positive and the MP of the fixed input is negative, the overall effect on output is negative. The firm's output is not optimal. It is limited and does not bring in the much needed revenue. It is not the desired production stage of the firm because it does not meet the objective of the firm, which is maximizing output for maximized profits. Now, stage 2. It starts from where AP is maximum to where MP is 0. The marginal product of labor is positive as total product increases to its highest level. The fixed inputs and the variable inputs are combined in the right proportions. Management is able to monitor labor and there is effective communication, and therefore workers' output level increase to the optimum. The marginal product of the fixed factor, land, is also positive as it is being used proportionately with the variable input. Since the MP of the variable input and the MP of the fixed input are both positive, the firm's output is maximized or optimal. This is the desired production stage because the firm's objective of maximizing profit is achieved. Stage 3. This starts from the point where MP is 0 or TP is maximum and continues throughout the negative section of the MP curve. Total product of labor decreases at this stage as workers' productivity falls. Management is not able to monitor and supervise well the large numbers of workers, some of whom have become redundant. The marginal product of workers becomes negative, leading to what we term negative returns. You find out that the MP of labor curve falls below 0 and is now negative. At this stage of production, the variable input and the fixed input are not combined in the right proportions. There is too much of the variable input compared with the fixed input. The marginal product of the variable factor is negative, but the MP of the fixed input is positive. The overall output falls greatly, and the firm's objective in production is not achieved. Ladies and gentlemen, my dear students, we will end here, but I'll give you reading assignments on our next topics. Our next topic, kindly read on returns to an input and returns to scale. Then 2, returns to scale or long run production. Now, our next lesson, we will look at these 2 things. Thank you very much. God bless you all for being with me. Assalamu alaikum.